All right, good morning. Got a really good Tulane team coming in on a Saturday afternoon, uh, head, headed by Coach John Summerall, uh, who came from Troy. I was at Troy the last couple of years. They were 23-4, and the last 2 years, Tulane has been a really successful program. 23-5 over the last 2 years. They've had three losses that have come down to the last 2 minutes of the game. They've won 10 straight road games, third longest streak in college football. And they lost a heartbreaker last weekend, a game in which they outgained Kansas State by 100 yards, had 500 yards of offense, and were winning 20-10 at halftime. They had 350 yards passing against Kansas State, and they averaged 8 yards a play, completing 70% of their passes on the year and averaging 200 plus yards a game. Rushing, they're averaging 18 yards per pass on offense, so incredibly explosive, which ranks eighth in the country. And they've got 34 juniors and seniors on their football team. The last season they had 27 takeaways, which was good for fourth in the country. Got a really, again, experienced and explosive offense. The quarterback is his first year as a starter, redshirt freshman. It's surrounded with 4 returning starters up front. Really good offensive line, experience, tough, physical. And the running back, Hughes, was the first team all-conference, and he was the league rookie of the year last year, rushed for 1,400 yards a year ago and 7 touchdowns. He's averaging 5+ yards a carry, had 130 yards against Kansas State. Really impressed with the quarterback, Darian Mensah. He's a runner and a thrower, makes a lot of great decisions, incredibly, again, as I said, incredibly accurate, completing 70% of his passes. He's got a fantastic group of skill players, including tight end Alex Bauman, who has 4 touchdowns, just 4 catches on the year, but he has 3 touchdowns out of those. So they use him for big plays. And again, we know who Mario Williams is. He's having a fantastic year. He leads them in catches, has 10 catches for 250 yards and playing really, really fast. Receivers are long and really explosive. Got a good physical defense. The head coach is the defensive coach, so they played good defense at Tulane. They've got really good players. They've got a defensive tackle, Patrick Jenkins. He's a great player. First team all-conference. He's had 32 career starts, 20.5 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks a year ago. So really, really good. 7 returning starters on offense, and several guys that start a lot of games on defense. So that's where our focus is. We got to put together a great game plan. I know our guys will be excited to play, and it'll be a great challenge for us.
I start on the far right side, just work our way down. Ryan Jack. Yeah, the defensive line for Tulane. You mentioned, what kind of threats are they going to pose, and how are they going to challenge you guys this week up front?
Yeah, they're athletic, physical. They get vertical. They're disruptive. So anytime you face that, it's always a challenge.
George?
Yeah, Brent, when you have a young quarterback, building confidence is always key. When you were at Clemson, you had a young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. I know you were the defensive coordinator, but what were some things maybe you guys did for Trevor early in his career to maybe make it easier for him to build that confidence, be more comfortable? And can you replicate some of that with Jazz?
Yeah, he had a veteran group around him, a bunch of returning starters, guys that played a lot of football. So everything was different in regards to the players around him playing aggressive, precise, with wisdom, experience. You know, the guys played at a really high, consistent level. So those are the things, that he was surrounded with, and you run your offense, and you do the things that they do well, based on, again, the supporting cast and things of that nature.
So when you have a group that maybe isn't as experienced like this group on
Mhm.
offense, just because of the injuries and so forth, how do you maybe build that with Jackson and that confidence? Does it just take time?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have, again, success. So you understand what he can do well and what you've seen him do well in practice, and so those are at the top of the game plan, and then there's it's one to have it on paper, and then you got to go do it in the game. And the more you do it, the more confident you'll get. And again, that comes from the confidence comes from practicing at a really high level. Again, we try to go a lot of good on good, and so that there's um, you know it's a smaller window for error at practice, and so that you're not surprised on game day. What those things look like. Mm-hmm.
Brent, as much as I know everybody wants the offense, figure out answers. I know you do too. Defense is playing really well. How do you balance all of that? I mean, it's such a change from what things were before you arrived. I think people really wanted the defense to improve. It has, but how are you sort of handling the good stuff you're seeing from the defense while trying to sort of figure out offensively what?
Just try to call it how it is, and support in all the ways that you can. We should rely on the strength of our team. Every year is going to be a little bit different, and you try to help the areas that need help, and get everybody better, and make sure that our leadership. If you go outside of our football building, I'm sure there's a lot of divisiveness, and we can't let those things get in our building. And the same thing, if things are going really well, you don't let all of the excitement and the energy get in your building either. And focus on the controllables and improving players and putting everyone in position to be successful. But you want to promote and nurture the growth and development, and the where things are going well. You got to promote that, but you also try to remind everybody. We had several guys on defense talk yesterday about their growth and development, whether it's Grayson Halton, who a year ago didn't even get in the game. He wasn't good enough to get in the game. Now he's the SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. Or Kobe McKenzie that couldn't, he had Velcro on his chest his first 2 years. He couldn't get off a block, couldn't drop in a hook, and or Robert Spears Jennings, who and again it was on the coaches, for not getting the signal in on time. But we have a busted coverage, and in the first series of the second half, and then he comes back and makes a great play on an interception, shortly thereafter. And so mentally, his maturation, again, a year ago, again, as he said it, he'd still been over on the bench holding his head. And, and so his mental toughness through going on his third year, he's just in a different place. And I don't know many players most players are that. And again, occasionally, again, you're surrounded by a lot of really great ones, and you got to play a young guy. He can do well in that environment because everybody else covers up for him. And so that's part of too, just to bring the right perspective. What is the balance? It's not over here. It's dang sure not over here. So where's the balance? And so my job is to constantly, nurture the right perspective. And again, the direction that we got to go to improve. Keep your head down. Don't get distracted. Make it about the basics. We got to get better. You got to gain confidence through. You only gain confidence through executing the right way at practice. Doing the fundamentals and the basics really well over and over and over and over and over. And that's got to be your foundation. And so we got to be good teachers, and we got to have a great plan as far as that development piece. During the course of the week, and you get 20 hours to get them ready and get them better. And so there's ebbs and flows and highs and lows, whether you're doing really well as a football team or maybe you're struggling in one particular area, where you got to get a little bit better. And but I really like the energy, the focus, the mindset, you have to have those things. You got to win in the mind before you win anywhere else. And so our guys are in a good, headspace from that standpoint, good accountability, good self-awareness. And so I think that's part of it to your point, is that you got to make sure that everybody has ownership and everybody has self-awareness, takes responsibility and accountability where it is, and it lies everywhere. And then you go to work, and Bill Bedenbow knows better than anybody. Nobody wants to hear that's your fourth center. Nobody cares about that. That's cool. I mean, that's, and Josh played good, not perfect, but I played well. I had one arm and, and did a lot of things that were good enough to win. And so, that's really the focus. Let's focus and control the things that we can control and get these guys better.
Yeah, apart from injuries, Brent, how did the offense become so alarming so fast? Or maybe it didn't come fast. Maybe you saw potential problems, but I don't think anybody saw an offense that could score one touchdown on Houston on a drive longer than 10 yards.
Aside from the injuries,
Yes,
I mean, so you're saying your best players aren't available, and so now what?
Maybe it is. If it is injuries, that's fine too. Yeah.
I don't really know how to answer the question. I mean, other than the obvious. I mean, there's the reason the ones are a one, and the twos are twos, and the threes are a three, and then again, there's a thing called chemistry and cohesion and timing and working together. And when you don't have, your best ability is your availability when you don't have guys available, so you got to get the next guys ready. Well, again, if as you know, when you've had several guys, maybe it's a Jaden Gibson who's taken the majority of the snaps all the way through summer and fall camp, and then all of a sudden he's out. Well, the next guy didn't take as many reps, so he doesn't have that, the experience or the reps. So you got to expeditiously, without wearing guys out, get them, the development, the repetitions that they need for the development piece. So, there's, a thing called experience. There's a thing, called, again, injuries. Those are real things. And then when you have it all happen at once, it just is what it is. So they'll get better the more we play and keep the same lineup. This is a group of guys that are committed to the work, the things that it takes. May not happen as fast as everyone would like, but it'll get better.
Let's go to Ryan Aber.
Yeah, Brett, I want to ask you about Gavin Sawchuk and what you've seen from him. Obviously, I know the protection and some other things going on in the run game make it more difficult, but how do you feel like Gavin stands right now, the way he's handled these first couple games and the way that things are mentally for him as much as anything?
I think mentally he's in a great place. You all interviewed him last night?
No, we didn't talk to him.
Devontae, I got you. Yeah, he's great. He's a captain this week. He's in a great headspace. He's doing well. So DeMarco feels good about him. There's a guy that he leans on in that room. He's a great leader and mentor, highly skilled guys. He's done well in the past, and we're counting on him, to be a part of, what we're doing, offensively.
Kind of building off what George asked, and putting Jackson in the best position to his physical traits and stuff. But what's it been like watching him through the mental process of this, going through these first two games, getting used to some of the lineups around him, having to evolve with his offensive line? What's it been like seeing him mentally go through this and still be a team leader, trying to guide this team?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, that's the expectation that comes with it. Again, focus on doing as well as you can do every single day. You're a leader. Guys are counting on you. You can't be over there just focus on just yourself when it comes to the leadership piece. And but you got to be a great example. You got to have your head down and going to work every day too. And that balance is really important. And again, he's a mature, tough guy, and so he's handled all of it really well. Again, has had great self-awareness, and has taken ownership where he's needed to, and that's allowed him to, take the next step, as far as his progression and development.
Okay, other side, James.
Brett, listened to you for a long time talking about defense and talking about the defense after the game, and you pointed out a lot of good things, but you also said you were not happy with the time of possession that Houston had. Tulane comes in with an even a better offense. So is this something? How do you get better at this? How do you get better at getting off the field?
Yeah, we got to be more precise. You got to take good angles. When we're in position to tackle, we got to use the right techniques to get them down. Got to have really good eyes. At times we, tried to do a little bit too much last week, and as I said, I felt the end result was pretty good defensively. We had one drive that was like 7.5 minutes, and they went 20 yards, and that's frustrating. And their first drive was, an 8-minute drive, 12 play, and so that's Coach Fritz. That's what he wants to do, and a lot of teams are like that. Tulane will attack you a lot more vertically, and they've got a lot of explosive players. So we just got to be more precise. And again, overall, just continue to develop the discipline for. And every week is a challenge of its own because the presentations are different. So, training your eyes is critical. And then there's fundamentals and techniques that go along with every call you have based on what's in front of you. Defense is trained reaction. So continue to get these guys that from a maturity and fundamental standpoint, get them to take the next step. And I loved our humility and edge. There was nobody. The defense is confident coming out of the game, but also knew that they left some meat on the bone when it comes to their performance. And I think we're number one in the country in field position right now, which is a real critical area. They have a big part in that, forcing punts, whether it's 3 and outs or not letting people move the ball much, or certainly in all the teams that several of our guys are a part of in the special teams area. But they recognize, this is every week it's going to continue to get harder and harder, not easier, harder and more challenging, more difficult, and their improvement needs to happen along with those challenges. That's the expectation, and they understand if we win the game, you want to win because of great defense, because of, hey, you're not naive where you're going to make all the plays, all the stops, everything isn't going to go your way, but responding and being great situationally, coming up with the big plays when you got to are a critical part of playing really good defense. And so that's the next step, for these guys. Can they do that week in and week out? And now I'm anxious to see that as much as anybody, but it's a group of guys that are tough, they're accountable, they're, again, highly invested. They got great maturity to them, great awareness. They know when things are a little off, were my words to them. And, the effort, was certainly there. We early in the game in the first drive, we got 3 guys, coming in for a check down to a swap route that we missed initially, got outside of us, and here's 3 defenders smoking to the football, and we all get there and we hit him, and next thing you know, he squirts out of it. And that's really, it's bad. It's just a bad look. But the effort closing there, they all just kind of ran into each other, and it is what it is. But not having those types of plays, next thing you know, they gain another 5 yards, or so off of that. And so we had to clean up just the cleanliness, the precision, the force angles, leveraging the football, eye discipline, all the things that are going to be challenged, this week. Coach Craddock, their offensive coordinator, he was with us briefly at Clemson, knowing well. He's done a great job at both Troy and what they've done. They have a lot of similar schemes to what Tulane was already doing. Some of the things that they were doing, they've continued to do because Tulane's very successful, prior to the guys at Troy getting there. So they're building on the things that made them really good. And then Joe will do a great job of putting the offensive players in position, to be successful. And they've got really good, first line players everywhere.
Offers, Bill.
Yeah, Brent, it's hard, for true freshmen to earn their way onto the field. all as an offensive lineman, but how much further?
Probably the hardest position on the team.
Yes. So how much
Yeah.
further along are guys like Eugene and Eddie here?
Yeah, well, again,
Compared to
yeah, talent's one thing, and then showing up every day and ready to go to work can be two different things. So some guys are more mature than others. And both guys are doing, they're doing well. Eddie, for the short amount of time that he's been here, has done really well, and certainly got in around for close, give or take, maybe 15 plays or so against Temple, and would have liked to have gotten him in last week as well. And but Eddie is working with the offense every day, and Eugene's over on the scout team right now. And guys earn their way off the scout team, and sometimes that when there is a new opportunity, it presents itself. That's a possibility. We just got back Daniel, who's coming off a foot injury, and so he's working on the scout team, trying to get back into football shape and things of that nature as well. So we got some good young players that, some of them are already over on the offensive line, like a redshirt freshman, Logan Howland, that played 32 snaps and played well, graded out at around 76%. Did a lot of stuff really good for his first extended amount of time. And just like, Josh Bates, again, as I said, he did some really good things, a little bit limited. He's a little better today than he was even this last weekend from a health standpoint. So, but hopefully we'll be able to continue to get Eddie a part of what we're doing as well.
Jesse? Yeah, Brent, Seth mentioned on Saturday that being more efficient on third downs is going to be key moving forward. Just through the first couple of games, has there been anything that stood out in terms of things the offense can do better to be more efficient on third down, or is there just a confidence that maybe health and more time on the field will lend itself to?
Well, again, so what are the things that can be an issue? It could be protection. It could be in the precision of the route detail. Maybe it's the physical strain, through the end of the route. Some of it, maybe it's recognizing what they're in, and so they're playing with X leverage, so I need to do Y. Maybe it's decision making by the quarterback. Maybe it's his fundamentals within the pocket. So maybe it's, again, just IDing up front. What are we seeing? It's a 4-1 box. It's where's the linebackers? All those types of things. There's a lot of those components that are all part of those third downs, and any one of them can break down, and it's not a good result. So some of it is that group working together, and some of it's just the fundamentals, or some of it's pre-snap identification, and then the decision-making piece, accuracy, all those things. So got to get them all going in the same direction to have the kind of success that we need to have there. And some of it's being better, more efficient on early downs, so that you got a better situation. Best third down is one that you don't have, and so we're working on that piece too. Mm-hmm.
Brent, it looked like before the game, Brent was testing out his ankle a little bit. Just how close do you think he is to getting?
He was a little better yesterday than he was last weekend, so we'll see. I'm literally not being evasive. I don't know. We're hopeful, and we really are. We could use a guy that's started 35 games in his career, but he's closer. It's not a popular answer, but it's definitely not popular in our offices. I can promise you. I try to be the trainer that comes in there. He's Dr. Death giving us the report every day, and he gets challenged pretty good. What does that mean? Is he going today? Is he going to be available this week? And a lot of it they don't know, and so I'm not trying. But if anybody else is frustrated as far as who's going to be available this week, you got to get in line.
Do you expect Jake Taylor to maybe be available? Is he in that same boat?
I'm hopeful.
Brent, you mentioned the success that Logan Howland had the other night. What's it been like watching that development from being a tight end in high school, coming here and learning to be a tackle?
Yeah, really cool. We know the Lane Johnson transformation from quarterback to tight end to offensive lineman, and some of that is a little bit the same. Certainly, he knew that. We knew that. Everybody in his high school coach knew that. There at the Hunt High School, that he was going to move to offensive line, and it's been a lot of fun to watch him, put the work in, gain the weight, gain the strength, gain the confidence, learn the basics, the fundamentals, to watch that evolution and transformation take place. And he's only going to continue to get better. He has a chance to play this game a long time. And so this is, again, good work for him that he got like last week. Getting in the game takes things to another level. And you got to sometimes get in there and then you get exposed. And sometimes you get in there. And for the coach, sometimes the coach is a little bit gun shy, if you will, of a guy that he doesn't have a lot of game experience. And so sometimes that can help the coach too, earn, trust.
Second row, middle, Daniel. Yeah, Brent, I want to ask you about Jaden Jackson. Just through the first 2 games, just what have you seen from him on the field, and just in the locker room, what's he like around his teammates and all that?
Yeah, he's himself, which is he's quiet for everybody else on the outside, but he's actually got a big personality with his teammates. He's confident and humble, likes to have fun, but he likes to work. He's been incredibly consistent through the first 2 games. All the things that you thought you saw, going into the first game and through fall camp, spring ball, summer, all that, it came to fruition. He played fast, he played physical. He's doing his job. Sometimes that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but it allows somebody else to make a play. So he has shown a lot of discipline for a young player, not getting nosy and getting out of his gap and seeing where the ball is and things like that, that sometimes you can make a play, but a lot of times it leads to disaster. And when you try to make a play instead of make the plays that are there for you. And so been really proud of, again, his work and his level of consistency has allowed us to play pretty solid, as a defense.
Next to Daniel Lewis.
Brent, Josh Bates told us last night that his #1 priority right now is gaining the respect of the team back. Maybe what steps have you seen him take over the past couple of days to do that, and what does it take for a player like that to gain their respect?
I think what's most important for me personally is earning the trust of the coaches back, and I trust Josh. Don't get me wrong, but that was a tough moment to watch under the circumstances. Anytime, that doesn't represent me, and it certainly doesn't represent this program. And I know his teammates respect, because Josh comes to work. He likes to work. He loves practice, and he'll take every rep in practice if you allow him. And so I don't think that Josh will do anything other than work. That's it. And in a locker room, that's what it's all about. And he owned it immediately. Felt terrible. It still doesn't take it back, but at the same time, and he's a emotional guy that was going to bat for his quarterback and lost his cool. So certainly not going to make it more than it needs to be. We're talking about it because you brought it up, but we're moving forward, and his moving forward and earning the respect back. Everybody's just go to work.
A few more across the aisle, John.
Yeah, Brent, the structure of college football, weekly, built in, everything's requires a process that you have to adhere to for the most part. When you have improvements that you need to make across the board, improvement would imply change. Do you anticipate, and you talked about Saturday night, reevaluating everything. Do you anticipate the need to make changes this week?
What are your changes?
What's that?
Is that a loaded question?
When you said we need to
Yeah.
reevaluate, my
Well, I didn't say change, but you did. So I'm asking you, like, what does that mean? Does that
Are
mean
you going to change the process? Are you going to add some things to Jackson's plate? Are you going to take some things off?
some things that we're doing in regards to good on good work, continue to maybe get even a little bit more of the good on good, so that you're you're not. So again, your practice field is where you want to be exposed. So you get into the game saying, okay, this could be an issue. You're going against good players. Maybe fundamentally, that's how those guys. How do the young players or the inexperienced players, or maybe that group of guys get better? They get better by beating up on scouts that are scout team guys that have a chance to be good players in time, but there's a reason they're on the scouts. And or is it going against good people? It's going to bring out the best in you, the competitiveness, your fundamentals, things that you can coach and teach and correct off of tape when you're going against good people. So the flip side of that is guys get really competitive, and you're a little more vulnerable to getting banged up potentially. And fortunately for us on defense, we're on the same practice field. We have the same type of structure. Our defensive guys have been able to, for the most part, stay certainly healthier than the offensive side of the ball. And but some of that might be what I just said to help, and then some of it, how are we getting to our plays on the call sheet, not trying to fit a square peg through a round circle, or again, get better at the basics. How do we execute this play? Things that we really believe in that have been good for us for a long time. How do we get better at it? And again, to me, you get better at it by doing it over and over and over until you can't get it wrong. That's what practice is all about. And again, a guy like a Zion Raggins, he has a very limited snap count when it comes to game ready development, and compared to maybe other guys. And so you expect there, hopefully, if you're trying to do it right, where each week you get just incrementally a little bit better, and you get that from a lot of strain, a lot of fundamental work, a lot of good teamwork, all the things that you do in practice. You just got another 20 hours of it, this week. Film room, walkthroughs, all of those things. That's how you gain the confidence. Mm-hmm.
Colton's always, Brett, you mentioned the game development. Right? I wanted to ask about a couple of the receivers, Petaway, carry on. How are they kind of coming along, especially with the injuries in that room?
Yeah, I mean, again, they're in the 2 deep, and you got to create your opportunity too, and you earn the trust during the course of the week with how you're doing everything, and so those guys are they're going to have to play, and they've played a little bit, not as much as the first group of guys, but if you look at the initial depth chart, they're either 3s or 4s when we had everybody available. So they've moved up, not necessarily from anything else, but just by chance because of the circumstances. So Petway, let's see, maybe Wednesday, he missed all of Wednesday's practice, and he had something going on with his knee, so had to go get him checked out, and we didn't think he was going to be available. He can't practice, and you're going to miss a whole practice because you can't practice for whatever's going on. How are you going to play in a game? You can't practice on Wednesday, and we're kind of came out of nowhere. Next thing you know, he's kind of available, for the game. So, but he missed a lot of good work.
Back row, Cliff Brown.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned how good Tulane has been in recent years, and Tulane is exactly the kind of team that a lot of schools prefer to avoid for their scheduling purposes, just how they feel they need to get to where they want to go. From your standpoint, what are the benefits of scheduling a strong non-Power 4 team like that when some people could consider it a risk?
Yeah, I mean, it prepares you for the season. The season gets here, so you're not, again, I just think the better competition, the better you get. That brings out the best in everybody. And when you got, force on force, and you got people that can create resistance and challenge you, that's how you get better. I don't know any other way. And again, you can't practice off and play hard, just that philosophy. And same thing, playing at a really high level. I think this brings out the best in everybody. And for us, that's kind of how Joe, his philosophy is to try to, progress into the season, with a steady, challenge as each non-conference game comes along.
That's it, Coach. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, Nick.